if she did go through and marry him, and if they are still married now, how could that be if he lied about this and lied about that? So episode 10 and 11 dropped, and I just wanted to come in and talk a little bit about some of the things that happened in those episodes and kind of where each couple stands, and just some things that I noticed, and particularly about Tyler and Ashley. We're going to get into that in a second, okay? Episode 10 is titled The Text from the Ex, okay? Because in this episode, Garrett gets a text from his ex, and how he handled it, we find out, okay? So in this episode, they have like a themed party, like the Great Gatsby kind of vibe themed party, and they get to meet the pod squad is what they're calling them. So the other people that were in the pod, and there's not really a lot of people as like previous seasons. There'll be like a whole bunch of different people or whatever. There weren't a lot of people in the pod squad. So it was, these next two episodes, they were decent. It was a decent amount of information in them, but not too much really happened, okay? I did think everybody's outfits were nice. I thought everybody was dressed really nice. I wonder if everybody picked their own outfits or if like production dressed them, because everybody's outfit, kind of suited them, and I felt like everybody looked nice at the party. So y'all know I like to talk about this in groups of couples, okay? Not necessarily the way that the episode flowed, but just kind of what happened with each couple, okay? So we got Nick and Hannah. And at first I was thinking, maybe this could work because she's a little bit more mature than he is, and she could teach him stuff, and he could teach her, how to be, there's more than one way to skin a cat. But I changed my mind, okay? I really don't think that this could ever work because she's very judgmental of him and critical of him, and to the point where like she is now like almost treating him like he's a child. Like even the way that she's talking to him, she's asking him questions like, okay, about the cat. She was asking him what his responsibilities were, and she asked about the cat, and he was saying that his dad gets up at 6 a.m. to feed the cat. And so she was like, well, is that your cat? Is the cat your responsibility? And it's like she's asking him these questions to bring him to the conclusion of that he's not worth a damn. And so I'm like, she really doesn't like him. But one of the things, like I said, that happened during this episode was that they had the meeting with the other people from the pods, right? The people that they did not choose. And Katie was another one of Nick's dates in the pods. And remember, Katie is, I guess, friends with Hannah, right? I don't know. She's calling her best friend. I don't know whether she means like best friend from the house or whatever, but Katie's there. And Katie and Nick get to have a conversation, okay? And like to me, she set him up to like let him down, because he was, talking about how he was feeling her in the pods and all of these other things or whatever, just for her to turn around and tell him that, he needs to change this about himself, and, he leads with this too much and he should really lead with this, and basically that he's too immature for her. Now she is like 35 and Nick is 28, so that's kind of to be expected or whatever. But then they like he like says, invite me to a Ravens game, and she says, yeah, okay, I can do that. So I'm like, Nick, are you over here planning dates with Katie, the person who you said you needed closure with before you guys got to this party? I didn't understand that. But at the same time, I don't feel like Hannah likes Nick like that. I feel like she has been throwing shade at Nick since she was first asked her thoughts after they saw each other for the first time, okay? And she's been going ever since. But it's like she progressively got, I don't even want to say worse, but it's like she almost did like a 180. She was all showing the fun Hannah at first, and then they showed a lot of her bare bones down to business, like what's going on attitude these last couple of episodes or whatever. So she is coming off like a hard ass, okay? Especially when it comes to, is he ready for a relationship like marriage? And she's thinking, that he's like so immature. She's going to have to tell him to do everything and stuff like that. So interestingly enough, everybody is telling Ashley their business. Like, it seems like that. Like, I know we only get to see a couple of conversations, but in those couple of conversations, it looks like Hannah is telling her all her business, and then her and Tyler are at the table when something happens with Taylor and Garrett as well. So that's kind of funny too. That's kind of a funny dynamic as well. But as far as Hannah and Nick, I do not think Hannah likes Nick, okay? Now then we have Marissa and Ramses, all right? And so at first I thought that this was going to be a better couple as far as a match was concerned. In the beginning, you know, it was good. But they are very different, okay? And like I said before, a person who is always chipper, there has to be something that we're not seeing. And so we're seeing that now. And because of that, she's probably sending mixed messages to Ramses as far as how she likes to be dealt with. And let's not forget, they've only known each other for a few weeks, right? So I can imagine that everything is just all haywire or whatever. And they're probably all of the couples are probably misunderstanding each other, just, you know, off of just slight things, just because they're all strangers trying to get to know each other. But Marissa and Ramses in particular, they have big differences in their sexual situation. They have big differences when it comes to politics and kind of morals when it comes down to it, if you listen to Ramses. But it seems like they are showing a lot about Ramses' hesitancy and things like that. And they're kind of just showing Marissa as being, like, she's bottling her stuff up. I feel like she is bottling it up and saying everything's okay when she's really not explaining the depth of how things are affecting her. But this is how they're showing it, right? I don't know if she did express that, but we got to hear a lot about what Ramses thought and what he wanted and what he was unsure of. And we could tell that he is having second thoughts, right? So yeah, it was just a lot of tense moments with them. Ramses and this Coogee sweater. I was like, where the hell did he find that at? Okay. At the party that they had, Marissa got to meet Bowden, and they figured it was just a friend vibe or whatever. So there was that. She feels like she made the right decision in choosing Ramses. So then we have Taylor and Garrett. Now, Taylor and Garrett are talking, and it comes up that his mother is still uncomfortable with this whole situation, and she may not even come to the wedding, but she'll accept her as a daughter. I'm like, man, that is big for her not to show up at all. I mean, I get it. Like, this is something that is like unorthodox. Like, this is not a normal situation. However, like, at least come and support your son. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Because, I mean, you're going to end up having to apologize later if they do get together. I would just rather be there, whether it's going to work or not. The thing that I would want to show is that I was there. So I hope his mother comes around if they do get married, because that's something that it might not happen again. So on the way to this party, Taylor is a little bit upset with Garrett because apparently he received a text from an ex. Now, everybody knows as soon as you get into a relationship or start thinking about a relationship, here come the old people. Hey, big head, what you doing? All right. And so I guess that's kind of what he got. And he told her that he hearted the message. Okay. And that was it. So they were talking about that and getting over that. And then they went to the party. At the party, they end up talking to Tyler and Ashley, and it comes out that he actually responded. And he said all these things about, oh, I met somebody, I'm engaged, and we're getting married, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't. He said he would show his phone later. So we don't know what the text really said, but it comes out that it was more than just a heart. All right, so now Taylor's pissed because he only said he liked it. He had responded like, why not just tell the truth in the beginning? Like, you should have just said it all at once, man. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. Now we got Tim and Alex. Okay, now Tim was ready for this moment. Okay, you can tell that he was ready to come to the camera and have this breakup conversation. He could not wait. All right. He was such a dick about it. It seemed like he was bringing up stuff that she did that he felt like was wrong, trying to make his decision violent in his mind, I guess. I don't know, right? because the bottom line is, it's two strangers trying to get to know each other. You're going to have to compromise at some point because you don't know these people, right? And so it seemed like, he was trying to pick stuff that Alex did. Like, okay, she had this long conversation with his parents, and then she took a nap for an hour, and he got upset because they came all this way, and she went to sleep right after they had the conversation. But they had some misunderstanding on what actually was going on. He thought she wasn't being responsive. She felt she was being responsive. So who knows? They're in the real world now, and they have to work as well. So, a lot of context can't be, received from text a lot of times. And sometimes we just go on with what we think. So who knows what really happened? Who knows, what happened? They're having some miscommunication. At any rate, Tim is like, no, I can't see in any kind of universe me walking down the aisle with you and having you be my wife forever. So, okay, if that's not bad enough, then he says, oh, well, this was fun. I don't ever want to see you again. I think we can agree, or something to that effect. But it was like, did you really need to do all that? That feels like he was thinking about the playback effect, right? Like, what am I going to look like in this moment on TV? How's this going to look on camera? Like, that's how, it wasn't real to me. I was just like, man, okay, whatever. I feel like Alex handled it well. She did not, do anything crazy. She didn't have any outbursts or whatever. She just took that shit and kept it moving, all right? And that's all you really can do. It didn't work, okay, fine, but, like, don't be an ass about it. I don't know. Maybe that's just... and then he listed everything that he had to do. Go get this food, cook the food for her family and all that stuff. It's like, anybody who's keeping track of all that stuff so that they can list it back later, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I feel like he could have had a more graceful exit, or he could have ended that more maturely, like, seriously. But whatever. Get in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And then we got Tyler and Ashley. Okay, now, listen. I have another opinion about Tyler and Ashley now after watching episode 10, because they didn't really show a lot of them. Like, we didn't really learn much more information. Like, Tyler did say that this was a donor situation for some people who he knew who couldn't afford to pay for donor. He thought it would be a good idea. God told him to help them, whatever the case may be, right? In this conversation, it appears that he told Ashley that he doesn't think the kids know what he looks like. Now, I just want to point out, and if anybody disagrees with this or has a problem with me saying this, just blame it on Ready to Love, all right? Because I have seen some crazy things happen with editing, all right? We did not actually see Ashley's face and mouth ask him if the kids know what he looks like. So who knows whether he was answering that or not when he said, I don't think so. We don't know if he was answering that question or not. Now, he could have been, right? I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt because we did not actually get to see her face when she asked that question. And we also did not get to see his face when he explained the donor situation this time around. So I don't know what's going on with that because I feel like what could be a possibility, and it would answer the question of, if she did go through and marry him, and if they are still married now, how could that be if he lied about this and lied about that? If he actually told her everything and some of these things were edited to look a certain way, then the only thing he would be guilty of is not telling her sooner, right? Because we don't know how long that conversation was that they had in there. He could have laid out everything and told her everything, and they just used whatever they used. The cast has no clue on how this information is going to be strung together or whatever. So she only knows whatever they talked about when they were there. And we don't know all of that. So, I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this little reality TV thing or whatever. But I don't necessarily think that whole shot was like all the way through. I don't know. We will see though. I'm just saying, we just don't know. I'm going to revisit this in a little bit because there was something that she said that made me understand. Listen, y'all don't know what I know. Y'all just know what you're being shown. And they had no idea what we would be shown, but I'll touch on it in a minute. All right, so at the party, Monica comes, Steven doesn't, but she does say that she actually talked to Steven and he's a nice guy or whatever. Whatever. I guess we'll see if anybody does any interviews and see if anything else comes out about that. But she came and he didn't. Tim and Alex came separately and they didn't even appear to talk at the party. So there is that. Now, episode 11 is called The Risk of Falling in Love. All right. Now, episode 11, at the beginning of episode 11, you see Hannah following Nick around the house as they are getting home from the party, asking him, what were you talking to Katie about for 40 minutes? Now, I don't know if they was really talking for 40 minutes because Hannah might have put 20 on 10 on that. They could have only been talking for 20 minutes, but who knows? They was over there talking for way too long in Hannah's mind, and she wanted to know what happened. Low key, I was like, all of the stuff that I heard Katie say, I can still see her going back to Hannah and telling Hannah all that they talked about. But it doesn't seem like she did based off of what we saw Hannah asking Nick, because Nick seems to forgot that he was telling her how he was feeling her and how, oh, you got to invite me to a Ravens game and all this other stuff or whatever. And he's just acting like, okay, it's all Hannah in this moment when Hannah is telling him that, oh, well, she kept telling me that you were hot. And he's like, well, that's not my problem. So it's like they were butting heads. And then Hannah is just like, well, let's just go to bed. Okay, she's trying to change the subject. And then, kind of ended abruptly. Nick met Hannah's friends. And when he met her friends, she told them the story about the duck. When he wanted to go ride that duck, and then that older lady was over there, riding it with him and called her jealous or whatever. When she was about to talk about that, she talked about how it was going to give her ick, and she called him Icky Nicky. Now, it's going to stick. I can't stop saying it, Icky Nicky, but damn, once you say that about somebody that you're trying to date, it just doesn't, it's not going to work. You cannot, no. Mm-mm. So they ended up breaking up. They did not show up for fitting day, and so they had a conversation where she basically was telling him that it was not happening, but she did it in such a way that he answered his own questions. But I was glad that he was standing up for himself, because a lot of times she would try to say that stuff happened a certain way, and he would be like, no, that's not what happened, or no, that's not right, or whatever. And I was glad that he did that, because she ended up saying she was telling her truth, which just means that that's the way that she perceived it, right? It doesn't actually mean that that's what had to happen, but that was the way that she perceived it or took things or whatever. But I'm glad that he stood up for himself in this situation, because no, I don't know what kind of man she's going to end up with, but it's just going to be interesting to see. But I no longer think that they could make it as I previously did. So Nick and Hannah broke up. She said that she felt manipulated by Nick. I don't know. We didn't see everything that was going on, so who actually knows? So Taylor and Garrett, they go to San Diego. Garrett got to meet a lot of Taylor's family and her mother, and both of those meetings went well. Things are looking good. Looks like they're getting past the text thing. I feel like they still gonna get married. So now let's jump back to Tyler and Ashley real quick. When I heard her say to him that I feel like I want you in my life no matter what, right there, I was like, they done had some kind of conversation that it doesn't matter what nobody say. She wants him in her life no matter what. Once that happened and I heard her say that, I was like, okay, it dawned on me. We really don't know how long these conversations are, what he could have said. Like, he could be at his moment of, I'm tired of playing around and I'm just going to tell this woman everything that I need to tell her to be honest with her, and I'm finally going to do something right. It could be that. I don't know, right? All I'm saying is, this gives a moment of, like I said, we didn't really see her face asking him that specific question. So until I see her ask him face to face, he say he don't think so. I don't know that he actually said that in response to that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope somebody is able to interview them afterwards so we can really get the full story on what production left out. Because they left a lot out, as usual. But then they skydive. They actually go skydiving like they said they would in the beginning. They said they wanted to go Ashley said she wanted to go skydiving the day before she gets married. They did it a few days before they supposed to get married, but they actually did it, all right? Couldn't be me. Wouldn't have been able to do it. Now, did we meet any of Tyler's family? Because the people that were at the fitting were his two friends. We don't even know if they're actually friends, but they seem like they know him. Right? You always got to question that with these reality shows. They could put anybody in front and say, these are these people's cousins, and we would never know the difference, right? So I'm just saying, did we meet any of his family? I don't remember. Please correct me if I'm wrong below. Who did we meet from Tyler's family? Because I forgot. So, they end this episode with another tense moment with Marissa and Ramses, okay? And I'm just gonna say they're just not gonna work. Like, they are just not gonna work. She mentioned something about outside influences. He's probably talking to his friends, and they're like, listening to whatever his concerns are, and he is thinking that he's, making the wrong decision. So, I hope they don't get married, because if these conversations are like this already, like it's just bound to get worse, in my opinion, as far as this situation is concerned. But other than that, the ladies all pick their dresses. It's something that happens when you go dress shopping, right? I remember when my sister got married, and it's like you try on these dresses that you like, and then once you find that one, it makes you look so different. So I feel like all the ladies pick dresses that complement their style. Who will actually go through and get married? What are your predictions? All right. I'm going to predict that Tyler and Ashley actually do get married, because I feel like I know they already get married. And then I think Taylor and Garrett get married, and I hope that Marissa and Ramses do not, or whatever. So anyway, that's my prediction. This season was very interesting. I can't wait for next week's episodes. Get in the comments below. Let me know, who do you think is going to make it to the altar? What do you think? What are your thoughts on Love is Blind Season 7 so far? Get in the comments below. I'm your girl, Demetra Joe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Fine, whatever.